So today we are going to discuss about A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras. It's one of the landmark judgment by the Supreme Court. Uh, Purpose of this complete series is talk about some of the important judgment which is given by the Supreme Court of India, which shows that from where we gain our rights or the restrictions which we see in our day-to-day life. So this video series is not only for someone who is from the field of law, but also beneficial for a common citizen of India. So they understand that from where their rights and the liabilities and the restrictions arises. So in this case, it's majorly about the restrictions, because A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras is about the restriction, because it's about the preventive detention. So let's start with this case, and we tried to cover this as a part of a story so that we're able to remember it and understand the crux of it, okay, and from where this gain its power. So first question comes, what is preventive detention? It means that preventive detention is detaining someone in a pretext of performing any action, which means that before you perform any action, you will get detained. So you're getting detained because we want to prevent some action to happen, okay, which we feel that there is it's illegal or it creates some issue or the public disturbance. So that's what the preventive detention is all about, okay. So this particular preventive detention is the same act or something similar acts which is used by the Britishers to suppress the freedom movement, or to demotivate or to suppress the freedom fighters. And it's very surprising to see that we continue the same type of preventive detention after the independence. So even like Sardar Patel, our first Home Minister, said that there were several sleepless nights before they decided to continue this particular Preventive Detention Act. So I have created this complete separate video around to understand around the history of preventive detention and why it's still there, what was the benefit and also demerits of having such a preventive detention available. And that was the first thing about A.K. Gopalan too, because it's about the preventive detention. Second thing is about A.K. Gopalan. Who was A.K. Gopalan? He was no criminal, like some criminals getting arrested because they can create some nuance. He was a freedom fighter. He's someone who participated in the Khilafat movement, Khadi movement. He was the founding member of Communist Party of India. He was a several time elected Lok Sabha member. So he was a prominent figure. So it's important to understand that how this particular law is being used. So this case happened in 1950. Another very interesting fact. And this same year, we adopted our constitution on 26th of January 1950. So we got our independent constitution in 1950, which enshrined the several rights which is available to us. And on the other hand, we have this preventive detention, which allows people to get detained. So A.K. Gopalan approached the Supreme Court once he got detained under the Preventive Detention Act, saying that it's a violation of Article 13, 19, 21, 22. I will come to that, what it all is. So 13, it says that any law which is inconsistent or which is against or derogatory to the fundamental rights are void, which means that anything which is against the fundamental rights, which is provided under Part 3 of the Constitution, is void. Article 19 talks about the right to freedom, 21 about the right to life and liberty, 22 about protection against arrest and detention. So all these are part of Part 3 of the Constitution, which is fundamental rights. So what exactly, it's important to know what exactly happened to understand those nuances, that how this particular act got validated. So what happens in this case is that Supreme Court said that we cannot read Article 19 and Article 21 together. Reason being that Article 21 is a general in nature and Article 19 is a rights which is given only to the citizens of India. So any general clause supersedes the specific clause. Okay, and then it's important to understand what Article 21 is. Article 21 talks about no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. So here in the last it says that except according to the procedure established by law, which gives the power to the Preventive Detention Act, because this law, preventive detention, is established by the law. Hence it supersedes the other clauses, and 21 is also part of a fundamental right, part 3. Hence Preventive Detention Act cannot be upfront cannot be termed as invalid. And so there are few other things like section 14 of Preventive Detention Act. In this, like, it talks about that there is no, it's not mandatory for the law authorities to provide the reason or ground for detention to detaining. That particular thing, like, it's a 6-judge bench which was hearing this case, said that it's struck down section 14, said that you have to provide the ground for this ground for the detention, but there is a clear exception to it, that if it's against the public interest to disclose such reason, then it's not mandatory for them to say that, to give that in front of it. So it's also provided in Article 22 section 5. Okay, so in this way this petition got dismissed and the Preventive Detention Acts got validated. So A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras is all about preventive detention, and why it's got validated is important to understand. It's validated because of Article 21 and Article 22(5). Okay, and this is the why this law still exists in a different way and different forms. And complete history about the preventive detention I have covered in a separate video. Do let me know what you guys think, that whether such type of law have a place in still in independent India, or it's just tool in the hands of governments to suppress the political dissent. Looking forward to your thoughts. It's good to understand that what you guys feel. Thank you. Keep thinking.